another episode of The Mind of Reese. Today, we are going to be talking about nobody teaching you, nobody fucking tells you what happens when your power becomes embodied. They only teach you how to get it. Like coaches, healers, guys, they teach you how to get power, right? Gain influence, but not how to refine it, expand it, move through it without having to have a quantum fucking crumble or an identity collapse to get to the next evolution or next level of your fucking business. So today we're going to be talking about the part that comes after the rise. So getting power looks like you build a business, you become a specialist, you let your inner villain come out to play, you realize you're not wounded by visibility, you're afraid of exposure, and that knowledge has helped you move through it, right? Hi, Bubby. You no longer need certainty to lead. You no longer hold that, you no longer hold a mic without shrinking. You go first. You're a leader. You stop contenting your way through credibility and start leading with your truth. These are all access points to power, right? You've got the business. You're a specialist. You fucking speak out loud. You're like, here I am. Here's what I've created. I'm celebrating me. I do me. Access point. And for most women in business, high-level entrepreneurs, that's the summit. But for the uncancelable woman, that's just the first initiation. Because once you have power, you're faced with an entirely different question. Can you refine that power? Can you hold it when it's inconvenient, unvalidating, or unliked? Can you keep scaling, not by doing more, but by going deeper? Can your leadership expand without relying on volume? You've come to a moment where getting more is no longer the answer. What you need is refinement. You're the woman who's already created power. She's built the business, the brand, the influence. She's in the room she once dreamed of, and it still feels like we're ready for another recalibration in the bones. That's what happens to us high-level motherfucking women. That's what happens to a woman of influence. That's what happens to the uncancelable woman that has integrated her inner villain, because now she's just like, fuck, how far can I take this thing? There's always another evolution. You are beyond that old game now. You know, this old feeling you know so well when you're in that recalibration mode, when you know you're in your evolution mode, that your mind once interpreted as like, ooh, this sensation feels like I'm behind. You know, that you're behind, that you're not doing enough, but you know better now. We don't play that motherfucking game no more. We definitely understand where the good girl, the basic good girl leaves. She gets more sophisticated. She comes back trying to tell you, ask you questions in ways, and tries to create the understanding of a sensation in the body of it being like, well, you're not enough. No, we don't listen to that. We're beyond that old game. Okay. And now you know it's time to move differently, because now you're in the gap. You're in that liminal space, that invisible chasm between having power and continuing to expand it, hold it, move through it. So this is where most people, most women in business start to spiral. They're not failing. They feel like they're failing, but it's because it's like everything is actually working. Everything is working. Now, to a lot of people who are listening to this podcast episode are like, I do not understand that. You're gonna. And for those that do understand it, you understand. For those who feel me, for those who have been in business, who have been in the arena where everybody else is just watching on the motherfucking sidelines, you've been in the arena, you understand what it is. When people start to spiral, when women start to spiral, that feeling of the spiral and the invisible chasm between having power and holding it, you're like, nothing, it's not actually because anything's failing, it's because everything is working, just not in the ways that they expected. Now, your nervous system doesn't know how to categorize this phase because it doesn't look like trauma. It looks like traction. It's like, wow, things are moving, but it still feels like a loss. And that's where the dissonance begins, because that's where the consequences of your leadership start to make you wobble. Now, you wobble because your audience gets quieter. Your clients start dropping out, not in conflict, but just because it's an energetic mismatch. You say something real and you lose like 217 motherfucking followers. The wins that used to give you a high now taste like tap water. You keep showing up, but the content feels like it belongs to someone you've outgrown. Who feels me? Raise your hand. Send a fire emoji if you feel me. See, people stop clapping for you. People, and they start recalibrating. And in the silence, you wonder, did I go too far? Did I get too big? Should I have said that thing? But the truth is that most women think the gap means something's gone wrong. But in reality, the gap means your power finally got real. And power, real embodied power, doesn't trigger applause. It triggers adjustment. It distorts the field until everyone else attunes to it or fucking leaves. Your leadership stops being a mirror. Now your leadership is a mirror shatterer. People don't know how to meet you in your sovereignty because your presence now exposes every way they're still performing theirs. Power becomes isolating. When you're used to being praised for your potential, now they're quiet because you're proving it. So what do most women do in this gap? They dilute. They round the edges of their messaging just to stay lovable enough. They shrink their signal just enough to still get the applause because that's what really, that gave them that dopamine hit. They rebrand their truth as something more digestible and they call it fucking strategy. But this is the collapse I was talking about, the one you swore you didn't need this time, the one you intellectually know is not required for your next fucking level, the one you know in your mind, this is my pattern, I know what my patterns are, but yet you haven't actually embodied, or your parts, the parts that house the psyche, the inside the psyche, the parts that are within the psyche, don't actually fucking believe you. Yeah, you intellectualize her like this bitch. She's going to go through this pattern again. It's just going to be a little bit more sophisticated. It's going to be a little less dramatic. Still shaves sometimes off of your day. Still makes you exhausted physically. But here you are again because the pattern lives in your body, not in your mind. You know how to regulate. You know how to name a trigger. You know the story isn't true, the one that's going on inside your head, that you're not enough, that you're not good enough, that you're not lovable, that it's not working. And still, you feel the heat of subtle shame creep in like a whisper behind your motherfucking ribcage. It's not loud or dramatic shame that collapses you into a heap on the fucking floor. No, this shame, she's sophisticated. She's refined. It's the evolved good girl shame that sounds like, you should have known better. You've been through this before. You've been canceled before. You don't deal with this kind of drama. You're too smart to still be here. Why didn't you just double check the spelling before that went out to 10,000 people? Right? Whose ears have gotten grammatical errors around here? This isn't failure. It's fragmentation. Just clever enough to pass for functionality. This is the tension. This is where most women think something has gone wrong, but really, this is where real refinement begins. This is where you learn that power doesn't just surge, it stabilizes. It doesn't just break glass ceilings. It builds structure strong enough to hold you at that altitude. And that's where I come in. This isn't about going back to the basics. It's about stepping into mastery. You've already got the power. Now we make it sustainable, somatic, signal fucking rich, scalable without self-abandonment, because the next version of your legacy will not be built through a stronger fucking funnel. It will be built through a stronger you, a more integrated you, a woman whose leadership is no longer reactive, but ritual, whose words collapse time because they were channeled from her own depth of her architecture, and a woman whose power doesn't need to shout because it just fucking lands so deep within the body. This is where your medicine is. Refinement is the sacred middle, the liminal space between where you are and where you want to go. Everybody's afraid of the motherfucking hallway. Everybody says, I want diamonds, but can't deal with the fucking pressure. Come on. You are not that type of woman. You're the one that understands growth. Pressure is in the growth. We've got growth when there's pressure. Growth is the byproduct to the pressure and the tension and the discomfort within the body. I can move through this with so much ease, unbothered, unfuck with ability. I can integrate this and turn it into articulation, and right articulation equals cash. Everybody wants the clarity. Clarity ain't gonna get you cash, my baby girl. Clarity leads to confrontation. That confrontation, what is in the confrontation? The pressure, the discomfort, the I don't wannas, all the stories that your protector parts within you that are protecting your exiled parts, your shadows, that are like, no, don't go anywhere, because if you do anything, if you change anything, that's going to freak us all out. We're going to collapse. We're going to feel defeated. It's very dramatic in your body. Then when we understand how to integrate that, be in that sacred villainy pause of that, oh my gosh, then we lead to integration. Now we've completed a stress cycle. Now we understand, wow, these patterns have been living inside of me since, I don't know, I learned them when I was like 5. And they continue to get more sophisticated and more refined, and they start to evolve and they start to shift and change. Because as a high achieving, influential woman that you are, of course it does. It's going to keep sneaky little ways on how to keep you the same while incrementally showing you, well, we're moving. Look at this traction. Look at how much we're moving. But what if we never needed a collapse? What if we never needed to have to go through that pattern over and over and over and over again in order to keep our power, in order to keep 10xing our business? Refinement is the sacred middle. So when we can go through this, truly confront, integrate, articulate, that's what equals cash. That's what leads to the sales. Because now I can articulate it because it's embodied. Most people are trying to articulate things they haven't actually moved through. That's why their messaging doesn't land, but we're not in that world. We're not among the beginners. And this is why refinement is so important. This is why mastery is so important. Because now we have very sophisticated, evolved patterns that create, dependent upon your reaction to that pattern, could then lead to sabotage. What we'd like to call sabotage. Sabotage is just the byproduct of the reaction of a pattern that has been living within your body to protect you. So this is the moment. This is the uncancelable woman's rite of passage. She realizes, wow, here we go. How can I collapse the time between me confronting this, integrating this, and articulating this? Lightning speed. Refinement looks like turning your method into architecture so it no longer depends on your explanation, your performance, your face to sell the fucking offer. It just sells itself because it's articulated in a way that your diamond client completely understands, wow, this is exactly what I need to move to get to where it is that I want to go. Refinement is upgrading your influence so you're not just seen, you're studied. I don't need to be seen, honey. That's easy. You don't need to be seen. You're visible. You want to be studied. But what you fear is exposure. You're not afraid of being visible. You show up. You do the content. You say the thing. You're bold. You're sassy. You get your clients in. You get your clients' results. You're not afraid of being seen. You're afraid of being exposed. And that exposure gets you studied. People are like, oh, I really don't align with this. I'm studying her. Oh, I really align with this, or I study her. Or I really hate this. I'm going to block her, and then I'm going to keep following her, but I'm going to keep watching what she's doing, and then I'm going to mute her, and then I'm going to unmute her, and then I'm going to pay her. How many of us have done that? How many of us have had that happen to them, right? Exactly. Raising hands. That's what this is. So refinement looks like letting your content speak from your nervous system, right? From the embodied place of integration. Now that you can articulate it into the outside world, this is what I like to call the integrated somatic marketing arc. These steps, confrontation, integration, articulation, leads to sales, cash, and more freedom in the business. Because freedom lives in the body. It doesn't live outside of you. Refinement looks like making room for silence, for slowness, for sovereign clarity, for strategic alignment. It means raising your rates energetically before contracts even catch up. You're like, yep, that rate is raised, doubling that, Easy peasy. Even when you've never sold that price point before, right? Refinement is leading from your body, your soma, and not your strategy. Refining, see, the thing is that people think refinement, they're like, oh, fix what's broken. No, we're not doing that. We're fine-tuning the resonance of a woman who already knows she's whole. This is the part nobody teaches you because it can't be taught. It has to be lived through. It has to be somatically integrated. Mastery. This is why I have the best mastermind on the motherfucking internet. It's psychosomatics scaling, shadow activation, body integration, and high-level strategy simultaneously. Power that moves. The kind that builds legacies, that refines this power into pure influence. And this is why I built Beyond Mastermind. Not in the chaos of reinvention, but in the clarity of refinement. We don't need to burn it all down. We refine and we refine and we put the pressure in and we lean into the edges and we refine again and then we fail and then we realize, ooh, what we did to fail. So then we don't do that again and then we refine and we do it more and more and again and again. We refine our messaging. We refine our methods. We refine our methodologies within our own body. We refine the patterns within them. We refine the relationships within ourselves. The parts of us that we do not listen to all of the time because you are too busy intellectualizing your feelings, intellectualizing your patterns. Yes, I know what my problem is. I know what my problem is. My problem is this. I know what my problem is that. My problem is that insert excuse here. But we don't actually, what we think we got to do is do something outside of us. What we need to do is both. I'm not saying no strategy. You don't need another strategy. You might need a strategy. But the way that you move within that strategy will be different when it's integrated from the inside. When it's integrated in your body. I'm all about masculine and feminine. I'm not here just to be like feminine empowerment only, like have no sales pages, have no funnels. I don't believe in that shit. I'm like, I love the masculine supporting the feminine. That's my bread and butter. I love that. I love my back-end systems making me feel more freedom so that I could be a creative, rich bitch. But until I understand why I believe what I believe, integrate that belief system within me, remove anything that no longer actually adheres to what has gotten me here to take me there. And then now I can move in the strategies that I have or the strategies that I learn differently, faster, 10xing my business. Because what? Freedom happens in the body first. And until I can find all of the ways and activate myself in all of the ways to find where I am not free, I will never be free in my business. Because I will constantly think that freedom is outside of me. This is why I built Beyond Mastermind. Simultaneously, seamlessly, sovereignly, creating 10x moves. This is a space where leaders come after they've proven they can do it all, because you can, and you just want to keep proving that you can do more, and are no longer willing to do it from dysregulation. Because power without integration still burns you out. This is not about building from your nervous system. This is about scaling from the seat of self. So DM me Beyond, because the prices are about to double. We don't just build offers in here. We build ecosystems for instant ROI. We don't just teach marketing. We refine your somatic marketing arcs. Again, integrated somatic marketing arcs. So your content becomes like a fucking seer, a clairvoyant to the person that's reading it or watching it. And we distill your deep body of work into 7-figure methods that are unshakable in any economy. Slow season, never heard of it. Holiday season, never heard of it. This is a calibration of influence so you become unmissable. So if you're here to make next level money from the deepest level of mastery, then Beyond is for you. This is a 12-month experience where power becomes sustainable, where we sell from your shadows, where your voice no longer needs volume to take up fucking space. So you're going to DM me beyond because you're going to want to get in the room. You want to have a conversation about coming in to a year-long refinement mastery space of your offers, your business, your back end, and your nervous system. Body first, strategy second. This is where you're going to want to come in. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great motherfucking day.